Hey guys, as promised on Tuesday, this is another portion of that 4 hour Zoom call. And on this episode of Chit Chat and Chill, what you're going to see is a second conversation of Breonna Taylor. Yesterday, we uploaded a first conversation that happened prior to this Zoom call with guest speaker Matito and one of the panelists, Shayla, which conveniently enough, she couldn't make this Zoom call. So it's nice to get her perspective in there. So this portion, as I stated, is another conversation about Breonna Taylor. There can never be enough conversations about this topic, hopefully, as you all know. So please, if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below, go to our drop down box where you're always going to find all of our links and a bit of a description on the videos. If you want, you can comment below. We encourage open and honest conversations. Please don't be rude, respect others' opinions. And I hope you enjoy. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Ugh. Anyway, Tino and then Peter.
I mean, for me, with this whole case, outside of like that actual incident, as someone that leans a little more libertarian, I actually have a huge issue with no-knock warrants. They put both parties in a very compromising situation. As a strong Second Amendment supporter, I have a real problem with the idea of the police coming and just knocking on my door and going in, as should every single conservative that supports the Second Amendment. I don't care what color you are. And it is an issue beyond race lines. We just don't hear about it as much, given the whole media sensation about these topics, given the time of year that we're in. But it does happen across all racial lines with these no-knock warrants. And, I hilariously, Rand Paul is the one that authored the bill on stopping those things and named it after Breonna Taylor. And it was kind of hilarious when Antifa surrounded him, telling him to say her name. So this whole thing, regardless of the circumstances, I don't believe these no-knock warrants should be happening. I don't believe the government should have the right.
Yeah, Peter, you're gonna say something.
Are we officially switching from cancel culture to the Breonna thing?
Yeah, I didn't get to introduce it, but I guess because
it just flowed. That's better than
it did. I just wanted to make sure that's kind of where we were going with it. So
it's your fault. You brought it up, Peter.
No, I did not.
Emotion.
I brought up the emotions, piggybacking upon a piggyback. I think Wes, I'm gonna blame this on Wes. I think he's the one that started it. Good job, Wes. So I think CJ, you said you didn't hear everything that Chuck and Shaq were talking about, right? I think the gist of what they were saying was, from what I didn't hear all of it. I just saw a couple clips, and
I actually saw it. You want me to tell you what they said?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I happened to be watching the game and I saw them talk about it. So basically, they all had a very somber mood. And basically what Chuck said, and he's always been against like people doing like the rioting and stuff. So he was basically saying he hopes people don't riot, that it really was out of the district attorney's hands because unfortunately the law was there. The good thing is they're looking to change the laws, but you can't be mad at him because at the end of the day, at that time, no laws were broken. And what we need to focus on is changing the laws. And they both said, it was a tragedy, but we have to move forward from there. That's basically all they said. I don't think they said anything particularly controversial. When I watched it, I was not in the least bit offended by anything they said.
All right, Pete, and then Jasmine and Ann.
No, go Jasmine, go first. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Wait, I think you guys aren't seeing me.
Oh, sorry, Aaron. I did it.
We forgot about you. We didn't want to hear that static again.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, check your chat because I'll say what I have to say there since we're recording. I apologize. Excuse me for anybody I bumped. But actually going back to what Peter first said when he transitioned the conversation about getting all the details before we get emotional about it. And he actually mentioned the Breonna Taylor thing, which is why I wanted to interject. I feel like there are times when we get there are certain things like the Breonna Taylor case, like the Ahmaud Arbery case, like George Floyd, where you don't have to necessarily wait for details to feel some type of way. Then there are other cases where, yeah, we've all, in this chat before, we've seen like the school when the teacher's whooping on the kids and different stuff like that, where it's like, oh, okay, this is how we feel. But there are instances where when you see it, there's no argument. Back to what CJ said, as far as Breonna Taylor, I don't know if anybody saw today that the grand jury released the audio from the grand jury trial, and they caught the attorney general in a lie, because I watched his press conference, and on his press conference they said that one neighbor did testify to he heard the police knock and identify themselves. Listening to the audio, that neighbor did not say that. And a police officer testified at the grand jury indictment that neighbor did not hear the police announce themselves. There were 12 other neighbors who did not hear the police announce themselves. That is where, the no laws were broken, blah, blah, blah. But if you can charge one officer with wanton endangerment, why can you not charge all of them? Because if this one black man took supposedly one bullet to hit an officer, why does it take almost 30 rounds to shoot in a house? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah. And different guns, sorry. So wait, LaShawn, it's Jasmine and LaShawn.
No, I was just gonna kind of comment on what LaShawn, like how LaShawn explained the whole Charles Barkley thing and like whatever, and how and a lot of people touched on it when we were talking about cancel culture, how people want a scapegoat essentially, and so obviously since Aaron just provided new information, that's a whole other thing, but like it's easier for people who aren't active voters, who aren't active in finding their own information, which kind of ties in everything what everybody's been saying about doing your own research and stuff like that and being like persuaded by media. Like it's so easy to just be like, well, no, you're wrong because this sounds wrong to me. And that doesn't, that seems like it has to be against the law. It's kind of like assumptions that people are making, right? And so it's kind of like, well, if you're not active in changing laws and you want to be angry at people for not doing more than what they can do within their legal roles, right? Like their roles and their responsibilities as, what am I trying to say? Like how far they can really go and how much they can really do. You can't be mad at that, because if you're not active in doing local voting outside of presidential voting, then who are you to really be so emotional or attacking or trying to cancel or anything? It doesn't make any sense to me. And that was what makes me angry. And kind of to Anne's point with like articles, when people are posting articles that are from like 2 years ago, I see it all the time. And people are like, oh, this is wrong. This is this. And you click on the article, it's from 2015. I'm like, so then are you even looking at the actual details of the article? Like, I don't even understand. Like the date and time's at the top and the date and time's at the bottom. Like, do you not know how to read an article? Like, I'm kind of confused here. And why are you so riled up about this? And we have all these other problems. Like, why weren't you riled up about it back then? So then are you just piggybacking off of other people sharing that? So then you want to share it. So then you seem involved and you seem woke and, like you seem invested. But if you're not really truly invested, I'm going to need you to take a step back or take a step forward and actually be invested and stop just, kind of reacting off of emotion, which is, I think it's automatic for humans to react off of emotions. I mean, we all know I'm a very emotional person, but okay, sorry. But I just think that people need to, if they want to talk about people, needing to do this and do that, they need to be participating in that and putting those people in those roles. That's it.
You're gonna talk about
I know it's LaShawn's turn to talk, but document this. This is the moment Jasmine started becoming a conservative.
Oh goodness. There's always a moment for you when people start leaning your way.
I'm pretty sure he said that to me multiple times and that never happened.
Hey, Pete, that's real, bro. That's real.
Okay.
And
I'm going on record that is not real. Okay. They are not speaking for me. Thank you.
Is Anthony next? I'm sorry. I thought I was next.
No,
Anthony,
go.
LaShawn, Cliff.
I'm reading something about Chuck and Charles and Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell y'all about it in a minute. But go on, LaShawn, you good?
Okay, so all I wanted to do was point out some things Erin said. When she said about the no knock, whether they announced themselves or didn't, at the end of the day, the whole point of the no knock is they didn't have to announce themselves. So they were still within their legal rights, whether they announced it or not. So the conflicting stories as far as whether they knocked or didn't knock didn't matter that much. It was just a dumb lie that they told. And then the other thing is the one officer you were talking about how him shooting. The reason why he got charged is because he shot a gazillion times while the other officers only shot like what they thought was a reasonable amount of times, which is a few rounds. And he just went crazy and like sprayed up the place. So that's why he got fired and he got charged with wanted endangerment. So that was just my only thing. I wasn't really giving an opinion. I just wanted to give some information about that.
Gotcha. CJ?
Yep, I was basically gonna say the same thing LaShawn said. Like at the end of the day, no knock warrant to Aaron's point. So they didn't have to do anything, which is why it's a fucked up law. And I mean, I was not surprised in the least bit it went down the way it did. I'm curious to see, is anybody really shocked at the charges or lack of charges?
No.
Okay.
That's true.
But so my question becomes then, based on the facts that everybody has, does somebody feel there should have been charges to the other two officers? I think was the main question.
My concern is the reason I mentioned the them announcing themselves. That is what the Attorney General spoke to in his press conference. That is my concern. Because like you said, and I when I had this conversation with other people, why do you need to make a point of saying they knocked? When, yeah, like you said, they had a no-knock warrant. What's the point of the warrant if you're going to announce yourself? Unless it didn't happen, but he was trying to make the officers look in a more favorable light. And those other officers shot just as many times as he did. The difference was he was on the balcony shooting into the house versus them being physically in the house. Once again, the point is they all shot double-digit amounts of times. She was shot 6 times. And did you need to shoot? Because if the boyfriend shot one single time, he shot one single time, why was 30 different bullets necessary? That's my concern. And yes, I still think that there should be further charges because now we're lying. There's a Vice video coming out soon where the Vice people got the body cam footage from the SWAT team where it's implying, I'm not going to say it shows, I'm going to say it's implying that the officer that ended up being fired, he was actually allowed back in the house with no, I forgot what the term they used. It's like a handler, I guess, somebody to make sure he wasn't mishandling evidence. There was concern before the warrant was executed. This is what this.
Aaron, I think we lost you.
Damn it.
No, I can hear you.
I can hear her.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then it's just me. Never mind.
But there was concern that this body cam footage is going to show the SWAT team before they executed the warrant was concerned about how it was being executed. There's concern that the police officers were allowed to stay on the scene. Somebody should be held responsible for all the way the situation was handled, aside from the warrant. So yes, we all should still be angry because it's an abuse of power, whether they meant to kill this young lady or not.
That's true. It was a bunch of lies.
Peter and then Wes.
So I think a lot depends on what the actual facts are and I don't know what all those facts are. I did not listen to any of the audio from the grand jury. I know they released it. But if the grand jury audio is completely different from what the AG said, then I'm with you 100%. That should never have happened. There was no reason to lie about it in the first place. But just, you realize how fast it is to let off? 10 rounds is not a lot. So when you talk about double-digit rounds, if somebody shoots at you, especially if somebody hits, 10 rounds is not a lot at all. You go through 10 rounds in a heartbeat. There's nothing to that. So that doesn't bother me. The 2 officers that were in the house returning fire, especially somebody's hit. The other guy was outside and he was just blatantly shooting. He deserves to be fired and charged. That I agree with. But the other 2 officers in the house, if somebody shoots at you, you're returning fire.
But that
I don't see how anybody can possibly be upset with returning fire if somebody shoots at you. And 10 rounds just isn't a lot. It's not even a full clip that he's got in. They have in there.
it's a tragedy. That's the problem with that.
No, that's true.
Wes.
My issue is that we spent the last, I don't know how long, and these things are interconnected with cancel culture and the Breonna Taylor case, but we spent all this time talking as though, like, we look like a jury right now, and we're trying to figure out all these answers, and we're trying to figure out all this stuff. And then you blame, like, you go at Charles Barkley and Shaq, their whole thing is, if you watch them over the years, like, I pretty much never miss Inside the NBA. And they are, from a Black culture standpoint, they can be problematic at times. So what winds up happening is they have a lot shorter leash for their opinions on things that involve Black people, because from a lot of the stuff that they say, they got rich and never talked to Black people again. Like, it was just what they did since '88. And so people have that in their minds, even though they don't even say nothing that's that bad. But people are just like, it's just a reputation thing now. It's the same way Dennis Rodman get a technical for doing, like, it's just reputation, you know? And yes, there's a ton of new evidence that is still coming out with the case. And that's the problem with having grand juries take over all this stuff. But when we get caught up in this, the thing that we lose is that, why the hell are there no knock warrants? Like, we lost. That's the thing. That is the point. That's the thing we can actually change. We can actually go and say, okay, wait, let's skip all this. Let's get rid of no knock warrants. That should be a federal thing. We can just get, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Santino had a great point about that. And I really want to hear his scary story right now, because he's sitting by the campfire, and I know he's got one submitted for the Midnight Society ready for us to go. But it's a great point there that, like, yo, if you got the Second Amendment and that's such a high priority on there, how you then gonna say that, you can't defend yourself if somebody come in the house unannounced? So then you got to protect everybody involved by saying, okay, you can't have a no knock warrant. That's damn near the same as quartering troops. You're like right there on this line, and that's clearly written in the Constitution. So you got to do something about that. And we're doing everything. We're talking about everything else instead of that. So we lose that instead of getting to the heart of the issue.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about the law. Like, it just needs to change. That has to go away.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to vote for my boy Rand Paul when he ran for president. Just going to throw that out there, guys.
Thank you. All right. So that was 2 of our topics. I mean, another one that kind of goes with what we're talking about right now that I feel like it makes the most sense to transition to is Black Lives Matter.
Hi guys, I hope you all enjoyed that video on Breonna Taylor. Please give this video a thumbs up, make sure to hit subscribe and click the bell so you are up to date on all of our uploads. What we have coming up next are some videos on the Black Lives Matter movement and also the state of Black America. If you would like for us to talk about any other topics, please comment down below. We would love to hear and love to hear your suggestions. We have some topics that, we do want to talk about, and as time goes on and the election year goes on, we would also like to talk about. And we do actually have a video on the presidential debate, the first one, coming, I think, next week as well. But yeah, if you would like to give us any suggestions on topics that you would like for us to talk about, please comment down below, and see you guys next time.